performance improvement plan. What a word to immediately cause recoil in the person hearing those words from their manager. It's a scary thing to hear. It's a humbling thing to hear, something that can cause a lot of shame. And today I want to talk to you about the power of a performance improvement plan when done correctly, and how as a leader or a manager or an owner of a company should be handling these situations. And if you're on a performance improvement plan, maybe some ways you can navigate that. My entire brand is built on raw transparency. I want to speak about PIPs. I was put on a PIP in my past, and it caused a tremendous amount of shame. And I had been with this company for over 10 years, every single year, amazing, glowing reviews. And one year, I called out a series of dysfunctions that I was seeing after being moved up very high in the company. And that did not go over very well. Like I said, it was a very large company, very large industry in America, actually. And that did not go over well. Now, of course, there's opportunities for growth on both sides. I'm not... anytime somebody says it's always the other person's fault, they're not being real with themselves. There's absolutely things I could have done differently in my position, but my history with the company should speak for itself, that I had gotten multiple promotions over those years, gotten maximum earnings year after year after year, glowing performance review, including a glowing performance review the year that I was put on a PIP. Actually, I was put on a PIP 4 weeks after my glowing performance review, which should give you a lot of context. But regardless, being put on a PIP put me under so much shame. I felt like a failure as a man. I felt like a failure as a provider. I felt like I had all this business experience, and yet I just felt so shameful. And the things that I went through were really difficult. During my PIP, I was told I was supposed to meet with my manager each week for ways to improve and meet certain improvements, right? Those meetings each week lasted about 2 minutes long, and it was very apparent that this manager had no intention of wanting to allow me to succeed in this PIP. In fact, I felt like the goalpost was being moved week after week after week, and it was very stressful. And can I be honest with you for a minute? The mental health that I suffered during that process was horrible. The anxiety, the depression, the thoughts that I would have in the middle of the night were just haunting. I remember those meetings I would have to have each week were on Mondays, every Monday. Sunday night, I felt ill. Monday morning, my routine is I get up at 5:30 every day. I go to the gym. I remember one of those Monday mornings, I was in the gym. My chest was so tight. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was having a heart attack. My legs were wobbling. I was physically shaking because of the amount of shame that I had being put on a PIP. I will say that PIP was handled very, very poorly. And I made an inner vow with myself. If I ever was going to manage somebody and they needed to be put on a PIP, I was going to make sure that that person had every opportunity to grow. It was my job to grow them. It was my job to help them overcome. And guess what? Fast forward in the future, that exact situation ended up happening. Like I said, I am now a chief of operations for an international nonprofit, and I lead an amazing team. I'm part of some amazing work. And I want to share with you a story of when I had to put an employee on a PIP. This employee was one of my highest paid employees. And when I onboarded him, I was very clear that my expectations with this role were that I do not expect you to meet 40 hours a week. In fact, I have 0 hourly requirements for you. And that's how I manage my team. I don't require anybody to work a certain amount of hours. I require you to finish the projects that you're assigned. I'm very intentional about creating a real balance for people and their work. It's very, very important to me. And now that I'm in a position of power, I believe in creating the things that I wanted when I was the little guy. So that's very, very important to me. So I was very clear with this guy that I am strictly going to be judging you on the projects that you are handed, your timeliness and the efficiency of what I give you. If you finish that in 2 hours, great. The rest of the 38 hours are yours. Go spend them how you want. And that's the dynamic I lead from. It was apparent within the first 2 months that this person kept missing deadlines that were actually extremely, extremely generous. I'm very, very calculated with my planning. I typically lead from a 30-day window, meaning you will have all the work that is expected of you given to you, and you have a 30-day look ahead, often much more than that. But at minimum, you know what the next 30 days is going to look like, so you can plan accordingly. All the other people in the team who were managing similar projects were not only finishing on time, but they were finishing early. This employee was repeatedly late, and we had repeated conversations about why this was happening. About 3 or 4 conversations in, it became apparent that I needed to put a sense of seriousness in the repeatedly dropped balls. So I met with this person. I said, hey, I know that it's my responsibility to make sure that you have every resource to succeed. This is uncomfortable for both of us, but I want to put you on a process improvement plan. The intention of this is simply to give you the tools and resources and meet more frequently to ensure that you have the resources that you need to actually accomplish your job. So what that looks like is really me actually coaching you very, very intimately over the next 30 days to make sure that you succeed. Now, during this process, it came to light that the reason why this person was missing deadlines is because they were actually taking on extra side work with other companies, which I am actually not against. I believe that if you have time, you should absolutely hustle, especially if you're single. You should absolutely be hustling. However, that should never conflict with your main employment, in which case this was. I expressed that was inappropriate and something that he needed to get under control. And over the next 30 days, I met with him. He began to see the patterns. He began to see ways he could do better time management, ways that he could actually manage extra work on top of his own deadlines. And it was actually it was a very raw and intimate place for me because it brought up my own memories, flashbacks, and that vow I made with myself to never become the manager who was displeased with someone's work and just wanted to get rid of them. I had that opportunity, but I never want someone else to feel the shame that I went through, knowing that the goalposts just kept getting moved out further and further. There was no intention for me to pass that PIP. And I went into this PIP with my own employee with the intention of actually helping them grow. I wanted to make it so hard for them to fail. And guess what? At the end of those 30 days, this guy not only got every single project in on time, they were early, and I had co-workers of his calling me and saying, this person has been so helpful. They've been going above and beyond. And actually, the last project that this guy submitted to me was one of his best pieces that he's ever created. And I was so proud. I called him, let him know that not only did he pass this PIP, but it was going to be removed. I want you to know that I see you. I'm removing this PIP from you. You've passed. I see you. Your work is outstanding. And I want you to know that your coworkers also see you. And they're expressing to me that you have made a complete 360 in your work performance. Thank you. You are doing an amazing job. Keep it up. I'm so proud of you. He was on the other side of that phone call. And just so you know, this would have been face-to-face, but right now I'm actually traveling. And like I said, the nonprofit I'm part of is international. So I'll actually not see him until mid-January, just so there's context to why this wasn't face-to-face. I hear him on the phone, and it was like I could hear the gasp. He was shocked. Now, I don't know the full depth of his own work history. I don't know if he's been put on a PIP before, but the surprise and shock factor he had was so beautiful. And I could hear not only relief in his voice, but pride, a good pride over his work. He felt seen. And what was amazing is that since then, he has sustained improvement. And that was the goal. And so if you're a manager and you're listening to this, I know it can be frustrating to have employees that are missing the mark. But as a manager, as a product owner, as a founder, as a CEO, as a COO, your job is to interface and lead people. You cannot separate that work from yourself. You are responsible for the growth and the success of your people. Now, granted, you should be very intentional with your vetting process during your hiring procedures. Be absolutely intentional with that. But if you have an employee that is missing the mark, you should make every intention to make them succeed in their position. Give them every tool, every resource. You should be hovering over them, giving them the wealth of your information, mentoring them so that they succeed. Because what will happen if they do come through that and you don't have an employee that's just completely checked out and is actually just wanting to be done, assuming that that's not the case, you will have an employee that has an emotional investment in your company because they have now tasted how you manage them and how you celebrate their successes. That is crucial, guys. If you're a manager, you need to be managing with the intention of knowing that you're going to have difficult employees, and it's your job to grow them. Now, if you've been put on a PIP, I just want to say, I see you, I relate to you, whether it was deserved or whether it was not. It's very important that you do some inward reflection right now. Number one, get a therapist, get a business coach, get somebody you can talk to. You need to get the poison out, the sting out, the shame out. That thing will cripple you. Assuming you actually care about your career and your job, a PIP can literally crush you, your emotions, your well-being. It can cripple you. It's so important to talk it out with someone that is credentialed or has familiarity in this part of the business world. Is very, very important. Get that out of you. Get that out of your system. Go cry. Go for a run. Go work out. Get that in your rhythm. Your daily, your weekly, your monthly rhythms. Get that into your system about talking it out, working out those emotions. Second thing is take inventory. Are there legitimate reasons that you're on that PIP? Can you improve? Do you want to stay with the company? If so, to what degree do you want to show improvement? And how realistic is that? How realistic is it for you to actually succeed in that PIP? Now, I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. I've been in the business world for a while, and I rarely see somebody come through a PIP. Usually a PIP is just the paperwork needed that HR takes to get rid of you. And that's really unfortunate. Something that I went through and my wife really, really encouraged me to do was that when I was on my PIP, my old boss called me up and said, dude, just enjoy the next 30 days. Consider it vacation. Just check out. Because he ironically was let go not too long before that for another silly reason. He told me to just check out, enjoy the next 30 days, go and just basically not work at all. My wife, who's a virtuous woman, which if you are a businessman or businesswoman, your partner is so important. It's so important. My wife told me, you need to be a man of honor. You're going to go through this PIP and you're going to work. You're going to work and you're going to be faithful and you're going to get all your work, your projects done. One of the hardest things that happened to me during that PIP is I was asked to create a guide how to do my job from start to finish. All the things that I was managing, I was asked to create a guide, a very in-depth guide, include links, include resources, create in-depth SOPs about all the work that I did, because I knew that they were going to be replacing me and they wanted somebody else to come in and do my job. Obviously, the complexities of my job were there because they were asking me to create guides on how to do my job. But I knew that I was digging my own grave, and my wife told me to go out with honor. And I did. I did that. I listened to my wife, and I did. I went out with honor. I washed my hands clean, and the day that I was let go, I knew that I gave it my all. I knew that I was being let go for wrong reasons, and that did bring me a sense of relief. And I know that the temptation is there if you're on a PIP to just check out. And I'm not saying you don't look for other jobs during that time, but I'll be honest with you, be someone of integrity, even if no one else sees it. It's about working on your own heart, getting your heart refined, making your heart a heart of gold. The wonders that it will do in you to be a good employee, even when you're being treated like trash while you're on a PIP. It's hard, it sucks, but it will produce something in you that will carry you in your next position. And in my case, it allowed me to fully taste the depth and shame and the hardship that PIPs often put employees in. And when I had to manage somebody on a PIP, I was able to do that with grace and integrity and helping that person actually grow. Also, if you're on a PIP, it's really important that you come to terms with the fact that you may be unemployed soon. Now, the job market has been extremely volatile. LinkedIn jobs are basically a joke. It's hard to get callbacks anywhere, which is why it's so important to be networking, which if you haven't seen my networking video, please check it out. It's very, very important that you have some networking skills building up during this process. It's very, very important for you to do that. Also, while you're on a PIP, it's really important for you to be giving yourself some grace, okay? Like I said, as you take inventory of yourself, is the PIP legitimate? Is it not? You need to allow yourself to really come to terms with the fact that you might have some growing to do. And that can be really, really hard. But I really encourage you to do some inward reflection, and it will help you a lot in your healing process after the PIP. Now, if you're looking for extra resources or the ability to maybe get some business coaching, send me a message on Discord. I'll include a ton of really great resources in the description below for you to be able to connect with me if you need business coaching, business mentorship, or if you're on a PIP and you just need to talk to somebody about it. I would love to walk you through your healing journey. I actually have a master's degree in social work, and I spent many years in the clinical world providing one-on-one therapeutic services to people. I would love to walk you through the healing journey of post-PIP or in the middle of a PIP. I know the shame that that can cause, and I'm so sorry if you are walking through that. If you're walking an employee through that, send me a message. I would love to help you make sure that you're doing it with integrity and making sure that your own heart is right during that process. So thanks for watching, guys. Check out the resources in the description below. And until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.